WNYLaborToday.com, your regional online labor newspaper, brings you Western New York Labor News Now, Western New York's monthly labor news video magazine, an in-depth look at the issues facing labor unions and their members. With the Buffalo, Western New York region, the #2 union community in the United States, we're Western New York's labor news media vehicles, making people aware of the good organized labor brings about. From fighting for workers' rights to giving back to our communities, we're Western New York's labor news vehicles, bringing you labor news you just won't find anywhere else. Western New York Labor News Now is brought to you by WNYLaborToday.com, your regional online labor newspaper. The International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 17, building a quality of life for all of Western New York. The Civil Service Employees Association, New York's leading union, and New York State United Teachers, a union of professionals.
In late May, WNYLaborToday.com and Western New York Labor News Now traveled to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to attend the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, 3rd District's 70th Annual Progress Meeting. Your online labor newspaper was invited by International Vice President Don Siegel, who presided over the 3-day event that featured IBEW International President Lonnie Stevenson addressing union leaders and representatives from across the states of New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. Both Siegel and Stevenson took time to talk to Western New York Labor News Now on a number of issues that are not only important to District 3's 116,000 members, but the nearly 675,000 IBEW membership across the United States. In addition, Western New York Labor News Now also interviewed National AFL-CIO Union Veterans Council Executive Director Will Fisher, a U.S. Marine who served in Iraq, and who shared with WNYLaborToday.com an array of important facts that all union members must be made aware of as the November presidential election draws near.
Vice President Siegel, thank you so much for the opportunity to come to Philadelphia for your 70th Progress meeting, which is amazing in itself. In a big nutshell, for our visitors, what's gone on and will go on during your Progress meeting?
Well, the Progress meeting is exactly that. It's our Constitution requires a Progress meeting in every district annually. And they started out early years as just meeting with delegates or various locals and bringing them up to date on what was going on in the IBEW. Now they've turned into more or less events. I'm quite proud of my Progress meeting. We try to make it both informative and entertaining for our members. And what we talk about mainly is we have a delivery from the International President, makes an address and brings them up to date on the things that are important to what's going on in Washington as far as our international is concerned. Our International Secretary Treasurer also gives a report on what's going on from his position at the International Office. And then we have workshops that precede the day before. To this time we have our grassroots politics, being an election year. So we're trying to teach our people and get them to understand the importance of grassroots politics, and particularly during this year.
Let me ask you to kind of define the 3rd District for those who are watching this that don't know.
Well, the 3rd District is New York, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and New Jersey, and it's all of the IBEW branches. We're like a mini AFL-CIO, and if you look at us as one of the largest unions in the building trades, we are the most diversified of all the building trades locals, or internationals. So most of the people in the building trades, they represent building trades people, and that's pretty much it. The IBEW represents utility workers, telephone workers, broadcasting, railroad, lawyers, as I said.
Diverse is an understatement.
And diversity is our strength.
Let's talk about the upcoming presidential election. Of course, it's always important, but this year a little bit more. What is the IBEW doing during, or throughout, I should say, District 3 to inform and educate its members?
Well, I have a full-time political liaison in the state of New York. I have one in New Jersey and Delaware. He handles New Jersey and Delaware, and I have a full-time political person in Pennsylvania. We don't just do elections. You know, we're there all year round doing legislative and lobbying work, and we tie that and dovetail that together with what's going on in the election. This is a particularly difficult year for elections, as you are probably aware. There's there's a large contingent of union members who are big-time Bernie Sanders people. In my district, if you go up into New York, I mean, it's a large contingent of people that are for Hillary Clinton. And, you know, unfortunately, we have people out in rural areas that are leaning toward Donald Trump. I mean, it's a fact of life that we have to deal with.
It looks like there's 2 million new union members in this country over the course of the last couple of years, and organizing has been key. Non-union workers are realizing the benefits of being represented in their workplace. And recently it caught my eye that IBEW was successful with direct TV technicians. What other organizing efforts are going on within your district here with the IBEW that you hope that will come about?
Well, just recently on the construction side, we just signed a contractor a few weeks ago up in Syracuse, New York, or Albany, New York, I'm sorry. Stilsing Electric that we were chasing for 10 years, and we took in 45 new members, and she's already, Kathy Stilsing is the contractor, she's already hired some more of our members. So we, you know, we have that. We have a lot of small campaigns going on. The truth of the matter is today, Tom, there is not a lot of opportunities to organize a 2,000 worker plant or a 1,000 worker plant. They just don't exist that much anymore. And that's been a result of NAFTA and all these trade agreements that have taken all manufacturing out of the United States. So we take it in small increments. We organize 30 people here, 5 people there. The IBEW, I'm proud to say, does not walk away from any organizing campaign. If 2 people want to organize into a union with an employer, we'll take the 2 people. Now, the reason I make that statement that we won't walk away, financially, it makes no sense for us to organize 2 or 3 people or even 11 people. The cost of bringing them into the union, if you did it like a business, would be prohibitive. You'd say, why on earth would I ever want to spend that kind of money for 11 dues payers? We'll never get that money back. But this is what we get. We get solidarity in the community. We get our message out to more and more workers, and we let them know that we're there to represent their interests. And the more people that are under a collective bargaining agreement, the better it is for all working Americans, period.
Let's start with some positives. Take a look back at what's transpired in the last 12 months. What are some of the most positive things that happened within the IBEW family?
Well, personally, you know, I just took over the position of international president June 1st a year ago, so I'm almost completing that first year round now. And but I've had the opportunity to go around to all of our districts for the United States and Canada, and I'm hearing a lot of positive things. There's a lot of positive vibes going, you know, work is starting to pick up. There seems to be a lot of energy, and you know, and getting our youth, we've got a Renew program, we're getting our youth involved, we're getting more of our minority members involved, more women involved in our trade, you know, and the IBEW as a whole. And so we got a lot of positive things.
How are you getting those younger members and minority members, for example, more involved in the IBEW?
Well, by asking them. You know, and our locals, local leadership is now, you know, realizing that the future of the IBEW, the growth in the IBEW, is going to be with the younger people coming in, and the, you know, demographics have changed across the United States. You know, there's more minorities in the workforce, more women in the workforce, and we need to make sure that as they come in, if they're going to be in the construction business particularly, we want them in the IBEW, but in all of our branches that we have. You know, they'll be employed in all of our branches of the IBEW, and we look forward to having them.
Let me talk about communications for a second. I want to compliment you. You've had some amazing national commercials that you've run in regards to showing people who you are, who your members are, and the work they do. I saw a great one of a gentleman whose job is to replace the lighting up at Fenway Park. I thought that was fabulous. Why are you taking that tact?
Well, because we need to really get everybody in the United States, all people to really understand who we are as an organization. You know, we're a union. We're very proud to be part of a union, but we're also more than that. We're part of the community. You know, we're the ones that's out there volunteering to do things in our communities. We support our communities any way we can. we've got the quality and skills of the IBEW workforce, to go out and work for our employers, and actually with our Code of Excellence program that we have to also, to also support our employers and make it a true partnership between the IBEW and our unionized employers.
Let's talk a little bit about additional members, success organizing DirecTV technicians. Tell me a little bit about that.
That's been a great program. Of course, having the neutrality agreement with AT&T, of course, made that possible. So between the IBEW and the CWA, we've had opportunity to organize workers for DirecTV all around the United States. Just the IBEW ourselves, we've organized well over 3,000. I think it's around 3,200 workers now that we've organized within the IBEW.
What's the future going to look like for IBEW members involved in the solar industry?
Well, there's a lot of opportunity in solar all throughout the country. At one time I think people associated solar as only being in the Sun Belt, and out in the West and everything. But we're seeing solar installed all over, all parts of the country now. And as the development of the technology gets better and better, we're going to see more. And of course the IBEW knows that we've got to be able to adjust, train our members, we already are, that we can be the best choice for companies and contractors to do those installations, that they want to use IBEW.
Tell them about the Union Veterans Council, the National AFL-CIO. What is it and what does it do?
So the Union Veterans Council works to bring working class veterans together around the issues that are really impacting veterans the most, and that is making sure that people have access to good jobs when they get out of the service, and access to quality health care we earned, and health care that's delivered through a strong, fully funded, and fully staffed VA. Now additionally, what we try to do is to communicate and lift up the fact that the veteran class and the working class are one and the same, and the issues that are facing us aren't independent of each other. It's a tax on our job, it's a lack of good jobs, it's a tax on our health care, and it's those fading dreams of a better life. Additionally, what we try to do is work to communicate where people really are on veteran issues. It's very easy for a politician to stand in the back of a truck bed, to put out an email, to talk about how pro-veteran they are. But then when they go back to DC and they vote against funding for the VA, they vote against the GI Bill, they're not pro-veteran. But what we also try to lift up is that they're hurting veterans when they undermine Davis-Bacon laws, when they try to pass bad trade deals that rip jobs from veterans and send them overseas.
Well, speaking of serving our country, and thank you for your service, you are a veteran. Tell us a little bit about your military background.
So like a lot of people, I joined the Marine Corps initially as a reservist right out of high school. I just happened to have the impeccable timing of graduating boot camp August the 17th of 2001. So my time in the reserves ended up being rather short-lived. I then was deployed to Iraq and served in an area called Fallujah, Iraq, in the Anbar province in 2004, and then came home and have been using some of those great tools that are provided to veterans since then, whether it was my GI Bill, my VA home loan, veteran preference hiring for federal employment, so on and so forth. And sadly, each of the items I just now named are under attack day in and day out, and very often by the same politicians who love to wrap themselves in the flag and talk about how pro-veteran they are.
Well, what a segue. Let's talk a little bit about the upcoming presidential election. You had some very strong thoughts and statements in regards to the Republican nominee, presumptive or whatever.
The leader of the Republican Party in 2016.
Tell me a little bit about your thoughts in regards to what Donald Trump has done in his stand.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk to somebody, anybody, about Donald Trump, and I'm talking as a veteran. Of course, I'm always talking as a trade unionist, but I want to talk specifically about Donald Trump as a veteran. This is someone who categorically defines the word living and breathing charlatan. This is someone who is a chicken hawk. This is someone who said he'll be the healthiest president of all time, but managed to acquire medical deferments to avoid service on his own during Vietnam. This is someone who says he wants to get good jobs for veterans, and at the same time says that he believes wages for American workers, folks like you and me, are already too high. He has come out and said that he wants to privatize the VA. He says that when people get hit by roadside bombs, they go for a little ride in the air, and on the Howard Stern show, he compared his sex life to experiencing combat in Vietnam. You can't make this up.
What is the National AFL-CIO doing, taking into impact what you just talked about to get it out to the mass membership across the country?
Great question. So what we do is we integrate ourselves into the Labor to Labor program, and we communicate where people really are on the issues, cutting through that rhetoric. And what we have in the weeks and months ahead and have already been creating are veteran-specific worksite leaflets, veteran-specific local union mail samples that people can use to create local union mail pieces of their own. We are very active on social media, and additionally, in targeted states around the country, we're going to be having rallies and events bringing together working class veterans in these communities and talking about the importance of this election and talking about it not just trade unionist to trade unionist, but talking about it veteran to veteran.